take me through what's being reported right now about what looks like another sort of special counsel-like examination into the investigators who investigated a Trump ally.
Yeah, so what sources have told us is that Barr asked the U.S. attorney in St. Louis to lead an inquiry into the Flynn case, specifically his FBI interview, which is at the center of really everything having to do with Flynn. And our understanding is that it happened very recently, and one source told us it was very sensitive, so it was not necessarily something that they wanted to have out in the open, like we've seen with these other sorts of inquiries that Barr has ordered up. The concern that people I talked to had about this is that it could be one of two things. One is, if you look at who was involved in the Flynn's FBI interview, it was January 24th, 2017. It was Andrew McCabe. It was James Comey. It was Peter Strzok. And those are all the greatest hits that the president likes to harp on and has criticized, and who has said, as you noted, they should face some sort of criminal penalties, and they haven't yet. And so this could be a sort of backdoor way to try to get them some more. That was one concern that a couple of people I talked to raised. And the other is that if they can stir the pot and muddy the waters and make it look like maybe something wasn't quite right, some I wasn't dotted here or a T crossed there, that makes a presidential pardon for Flynn something that's far more defensible at a time when Barr's under a lot of pressure.
So, Matt Miller, only the Trump White House and the Barr-led Justice Department could make a Flynn pardon look like the lesser of two evils here in the announcement of a special investigator to reinvestigate the investigation of convicted liar Mike Flynn. But is that how you see it, that creating a case to rationalize and sell to Trump's base a pardon of Flynn is the best scenario? I
think that may be one possible outcome. It may be to rationalize a pardon. It may just be to go about and systematically undermine every conclusion from the Mueller report, every conclusion. Remember, they're also looking, John Durham is going back and looking at the original conclusions the intelligence community came to about Russian interference. I want to stop and just say something from the top, that this is not how the Justice Department is supposed to work. The Justice Department doesn't come in just all the time and pick prosecutors from random districts in the middle of the country to go back and examine cases where a defendant has come and pled guilty. Remember, Mike Flynn pled guilty to this crime, and he pled guilty after making what was a pretty good agreement. Bob Mueller and his team could have charged him with other crimes and decided not to because he pled guilty. I think it's very hard to come up with an innocent explanation for this new investigation on its own. It's impossible to come up with an innocent explanation for it when you look at it in the context of everything else the Barr Justice Department is doing. As I said, they are going back through basically every piece of the original Mueller investigation they can, and trying to find ways to undermine it, trying to find ways to give the president a narrative going into his reelection campaign that, this Russia hoax that you heard about forever, it was a hoax. And now the Justice Department is saying it was a hoax. It's not just me, it's Bill Barr. I just can't emphasize, this is not how the Justice Department has ever operated before. And I think, along with everything else we've seen from Bill Barr this week, it just says something about how far that department has fallen.
Joyce Vance, from being deep inside the executive branch of the government, I'm usually highly skeptical of any strategery. That term was actually coined in the administration in which I served. But I wondered, when I saw both these stories break within minutes of another, and really on the heels of Matt Zapotosky and his colleagues' unbelievable body of reporting about Trump's rage from back in August about charges not being brought against Comey and McCabe and others. That was the DOJ firestorm that we woke up to. These stories broke since then, but I wondered if one was done to mollify the other. So the McCabe news broke that he would not be charged with the crime, but Barr was already cooking up another investigation into the investigators, so they went ahead and that news came out. Carol Lee has been reporting on that, so I won't put her on the spot. But Joyce, I wonder if it is to you some sort of symptom of a really fragile and precarious moment for the Justice Department right now.
Nicolle, that's such a horrible thing to speculate about. The notion that the Attorney General would open an investigation to pacify an angry president. But I think you're absolutely right. That's one of the many speculations we have to have about what's going on in DOJ right now. And that underlines the most important principle that the department operated on for the 25 years that I was there. We were obligated not only to always do the right thing, but to never even permit an appearance of impropriety exist as to our conduct. We did that because it was so critical that the public be able to have faith in the work that the department did and to take comfort in the integrity of the system, as imperfect as it can sometimes be. So what we're seeing now is what happens when the Attorney General, the guy that runs the department, is not concerned about that appearance piece, let alone the actual importance of acting always with integrity and doing the right thing. The president has way too much influence over how this Justice Department is operating. We're watching this spiral without knowing just how far it will go. But one thing that's clear is that there is a need for House oversight hearings to get to the bottom of this and to try to get the Justice Department back on a basically good footing before it's too late.
Why aren't there subpoenas flying up to the Justice Department, at least for the 4 prosecutors who quit the case? I mean, isn't there an oversight role for Congress to simply understand why they quit the Stone case?
I have no idea the answer to that question. I think there obviously should be. If you go back and look at the Ukraine investigation, Adam Schiff gave the other committees in the House a playbook for how to investigate this administration. And that's not just to waste time going to the political officials who are going to defy subpoenas. If they do come up, they're going to claim all sorts of privileges. Go to the career officials who both respect lawful subpoenas and some of them feel a patriotic duty to come up and say where they saw wrongdoing. Jonathan Kravitz, for example, no longer is with the Justice Department. Mm-hmm. You can see why the 3 others who left the case might not want to come forward because they may be retaliated against in future jobs as long as Bill Barr is the AG. Jonathan Kravitz is gone. I don't know why House investigators haven't called him up to come in and do an interview and tell him exactly what they saw, because I can tell you the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, which is the locus of all these investigations, is in turmoil right now. You can tell that the career officials are in revolt. They're leaking. If I were running a House committee, I would want to hear from Jonathan Kravitz immediately.
And if Jonathan Kravitz watched Fiona Hill sort of walk that line where she was able to tell the truth, not get embroiled in either side's case, but simply be a fact witness to what she witnessed, he might actually have the backs of a lot of people whose careers are still on the line in that building.
I think there are, just as at the State Department, I think there were a lot of people inside the building who saw Maria Yovanovitch and Fiona Hill and others from around the government Bill Taylor, who came forward and testified as heroes. I think there are a lot of people inside the Justice Department right now who are outraged by what Bill Barr is doing, who would see Jonathan Kravitz, who already see him as a hero for what he did, for standing up. He and the other 3 prosecutors standing up to the department doing something that was inappropriate. They would welcome someone coming forward and giving voice to the concerns so many people inside that department have.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.